Tax Tips Tuesday on 105.9 The Region.
Well, with tax season just around the corner, KPMG will be here every Tuesday with Tax Tips Tuesdays to help us get started as KPMG in Canada's tax partner. Your friend of mine, Joseph Pagliaroli. Welcome back to 105.9 The Region. Joe, how are you?
Not too bad, Jim. Nice to be back.
Oh, good. Now, we all know that if you work from home normally, you can deduct some of your expenses on your taxes. But what if you've been working from home because of COVID?
Yeah, so you may be able to deduct some home office expenses. So if you did work from home during 2021 due to COVID, you could be able to deduct certain home office expenses if you meet certain conditions.
Interesting. Now, what are those conditions?
Yeah, so one of them is that you've had to have worked more than 50% of the time for at least 4 consecutive weeks in 2021, and it must have been due to COVID-19 measures. Also, the expenses must be directly related to your work, and you can't deduct expenses that your employer reimburses you.
Well, that does make sense. You can't double dip, I would imagine. What types of expenses can the people claim?
Yeah, so some of the main ones are a portion of your rent, utilities, internet access, office supplies, a basic cell phone plan if you use it for work, and work-related long-distance charges. Also, if you are on commission income, you also might be able to deduct a portion of your property taxes, home insurance, and the lease payments for equipment such as your cell phone and computer.
It does sound like you can claim quite a bit. What can't you claim?
Well, among the things that you can't claim are your mortgage interest, office equipment such as computers that you buy rather than lease, office furniture, and your landline. The difference between what you can and can't claim can be confusing at times, so you want to use some of the guidelines that the CRA has in their website.
It does sound a little bit complicated, Joe.
It is. It can be. But the government has temporarily introduced an easier way to claim these expenses. So you have really 2 choices how you prefer to claim these expenses. You can file the detailed way, which means that your employer must give you a completed signed form called a T2200S. In this case, you'll have to determine which of your expenses are allowable and itemize each deduction. Or if you worked at home because of COVID, you can use a flat rate method. In this case, if you're eligible, you simply claim $2 for each day that you worked at home during the 4-week period, plus any other day you worked at home, up to a maximum of $500.
Okay, well, that flat rate sounds a lot easier.
It is. And if you decide to use the flat rate, that's a maximum of $500. But if your expenses were over $500, you may want to use the more detailed method. And regardless of which method you use, you are going to have to file the T77S with your income tax return.
Oh, okay. So you can't forget to submit that form. Any other tax breaks for people working from home, Joe?
Yes, these are something normally considered taxable benefits. If you, for example, if your employer pays for parking or is reimbursing you for commuting costs, during the COVID term, these items actually are not going to be considered a taxable benefit to you, so they won't be included on your T4.
All right. As always, thanks for the tips, Joe. We'll talk again next Tuesday. If you missed this week or last week's Tax Tips Tuesday, go to our Twitter feed at 105.9 The Region, or as always, kpmg.ca.
Tax Tips Tuesday with KPMG in Canada on 105.9 The Region. Access off-air using the TuneIn app or by asking your smart speaker. Play 105.9 The Region.